I guess the biggest thing that happened out of this episode was Wanda expands the hex to
Mm-hmm.
keep Vision alive.
I think that was really big. Like, but
Yeah, that's
yeah.
huge. Yeah, yeah.
No, I was thinking that's how they bring in X-Men to the MCU.
All right, let's get going. Zach Finch. Zach Finch is the guest today, the very first sport media guest that I've had on Unlimited, actually. So welcome to the show. Zach is a big sports fan, obviously, hockey fan, baseball, basketball, football, you know it all. Zach, how are you doing today, first and foremost?
I'm doing good. I'm honored to be the first sport media student on the Unlimited podcast. Yeah, no, big fan of them all, but also a big fan of WandaVision, and that's what we're here to talk about today.
Exactly. It's going to be a little bit of a sport media times Marvel podcast today. It's not our specialty, I guess, but hey, we like the show a lot. And I didn't know that you were into Marvel that much until you posted that one thing on your story.
Yeah, it was the little Uzi Vert putting a
Yeah.
diamond in his forehead, and he posted the Vision thing, and then that's how you reached out.
Exactly.
But yeah, me and my roommates have been watching it, and every Friday we wake up, we usually eat breakfast with it. That's kind of our thing. So it's been really fun.
I like to see some of the sport media people on the show and talking about this. So yeah, it's cool. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack in this episode, first of all. But I guess just to start off, since we haven't really talked at all about WandaVision, you and I, what have your thoughts been on the series so far?
Well, I think I was in the same boat as most people when the first 2 episodes dropped and it was just the sitcom, which we've always said the sitcoms, like from the 1950s, they were really good in their own right. But I think people coming into a Marvel series were expecting something else, and that was just laying the groundwork. And I thought that's what it was. So I was like, okay, they're just laying the groundwork. But at the same time, I was kind of like, man, they released 2 episodes and they were both kind of like, Then the 3rd and 4th episode, it turned everything around. So I knew that was going to happen. But, as with everyone else, I was kind of like, what's going on here? And then it's just been questions and questions every single week. It's a real slow burn of a show.
I know, right?
Something that I'm not used to from Marvel. Usually it's like you'll get everything you need in an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
But now we have to wait week to week, which is crazy because every time I watch it, I'm like, wow, I have to wait 7 days to get more answers. Right? So it's a bit of a different vibe from Marvel, but I think they're taking risks and it's really been paying off.
Yeah, they're really making us wait. And like even now, like we're in the 6th episode and like it's still not clear. And there's only 3 more episodes left and like we still don't really know what's going on. But yeah, like you said, like the first 2 episodes, I guess for like the typical Marvel fan who's interested more in like the action and sci-fi behind it, I guess, the first 2 episodes weren't really for them. But there was a lot of dark, deeper meaning to those first 2 episodes, at least, with Agnes and the choking and all that stuff and the beekeeper at the end of episode 2. So I want to hear some theories that you had up until this episode. Because like I said, I haven't really talked at all about WandaVision with you. So what do you think's going on here?
Well, I think I had the most theories stemming from last week's episode. I feel like this past episode 6, answered a lot of those questions or debunked a lot of those theories. Some of them being who is this new Quicksilver? I know it's Evan Peters from the Fox universe, but there's been a lot of talk that it's not the actual Quicksilver from the X-Men, but it's something else. And then we saw in episode 6 how he actually had memories from the MCU Pietro. So you're like, okay, it might just be Pietro with the new face. And that kind of seems to be the vibe. I thought he was going to be someone sent from the inside, someone from S.W.O.R.D. possibly sent him in or something to I don't know. That commander guy in chief seems like so a real
sus.
Yeah.
And
I was like, maybe this is his doing. And so I had that theory, but now I kind of think he's more like Pietro. Again, a lot of unanswered questions. And then the big question mark around Agnes. I think everyone's kind of looking at her. So I am too. And there was, again, in episode 6, we saw the scene with Vision where he kind of snapped her out of it. Was that her playing him or was that a genuine reaction?
I know.
I don't know. Again, like you think you have the answer, you have the theory, and they just throw you for a loop. So those have been a couple of my theories. And yeah, I definitely don't think Wanda's controlling everything. She always says that she doesn't remember exactly how it started. So there's that kind of looming over. And then it's got to tie into Doctor Strange somehow. That's what they're saying. So Yeah, I'm pretty lost. I have a couple of theories that I need to just have marinate right now, but
For
those
sure.
are my off the top theories that I've kind of had going into this episode.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you on a lot of those. Like at first, like first two episodes, I was really suspicious of Agnes. I thought Agnes was definitely like the main villain. She's behind this. Just some of the lines that she was saying, like the very first time she meets Wanda, she says, "Wanda, charmed." Like, why say the word charmed? Like, I just felt like there was something going on there. Um, and also just the fact that she keeps bringing up her husband Ralph, and like we don't really know who that guy is, and like is he the bad guy behind all this?
And in the previous episodes where her Wanda's kids were growing up, Agnes was always in the room when the kids had their little growth spurts. It's almost like she was trying to aggravate them to grow up. And there's been a lot of talk, and I agree with these theories that Agnes is after the kids in some sort of fashion, because the kids are real. They've been confirmed to be real, actual children, not any magic sitcom thing. So I think that she wants the kids because she seems to be very comfortable around them. She's trying to provoke them, i.e. having the dog when they found out their dog died. Just kind of having that to provoke them. I think there's something to do with the kids' powers, that she might be part of a corporation, a part of Hydra. You never know. But I think the kids are very important to them. Kind of how Wanda and her twin brother were in Age of Ultron. You know, they kind of got captured and they were kind of used as weapons. I think we're kind of seeing the same thing happen here.
So you think the twins that Wanda has right now are kind of being used in the same way that she and her brother is being used?
Yeah, I think that people are, corporations are always after money and weaponry, especially in the MCU. So I think this would be no different if they're going to ride this whole thing out. I don't know if the commander guy in Sword is, I don't know his name. It starts with
Tyler Hayward.
Hayward. Yeah. Hayward. And there's also, I saw a thing where it's Hayward. If you take all the letters in Hayward, you can rearrange them to Hydra.
I heard that.
So, like all that. So you're like, what's going on here? I think the kids are a really big focal point that's just kind of sprinkled in, because we saw in this last Halloween episode, they got more time to shine.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm happy you brought up the thing about Hayward. Like this episode for sure. Like I was thinking like, okay, this guy might be bad, especially like his the first episode that he was in, episode 4. He was just kind of sus right off the start. In his office too, he has like those picture frames, and they're in the shape of a hexagon. In his office. And that's maybe the biggest tying point to why he could potentially be the villain that's behind all of this. Like Westview is a hexagon. So why would he have those like plaques or whatever they were in the shape of a hexagon?
Well, hexagons have been so like crazy. Like again, it first kind of started out as a meme when they were calling it the hex or whatever.
Yeah.
But now you see, I noticed too, when Vision was getting torn apart in episode 6, once he was able to leave the barrier, he was actually getting torn apart in hexagons. If you really want to do a deep dive there and do a frame by frame analysis.
Seriously?
Yeah. If you zoom into all the pieces, they're all hexagonal shaped when he's getting kind of ripped apart there when he's coming out.
Jeez, I didn't even catch that. Wow.
Yeah.
I just saw that like one big chunk of him come off like at the start.
Yeah, no, that's called getting geeky with it. And like really over analyzing things.
That's crazy.
Hexagons are
something. What do you think it means? Because I was talking about it on the last episode, and it's like it's a beehive, and Wanda's like the queen bee, and then the hex spell. And the beekeeper, stuff like that.
I think it might be metaphorical in that sense, whereas it's kind of more of a metaphor of the queen bee controlling all the all the other bees and stuff. I don't think it has a lot of meaning in terms of just defining like who the bad guys are, like what the whole situation is about with the hexagons, but I don't know, might be a metaphor, or they might just drop this whole truth thing behind the hexagons. Because honestly, I don't really have any thoughts on that, which is a good thing, I guess, because it really keeps you guessing.
Exactly. I think I've heard like some rumors about this like one industry called Swarm, SWARM.
Okay.
That has something to do with bees.
That sounds like a Marvel acronym.
yeah, exactly. Like sword, shield. Yeah, for sure. But I just think that's kind of silly. Like to have like I don't know what exactly that organization is, but I agree with you. I think it's more metaphorical, and
at least for now.
For now. And then Marvel might just show up in episode 7 and just, it's like all the bees, some bees are behind this whole thing. But yeah, like we're definitely sus of Tyler Hayward, and yeah, I guess we can go into to the breakdown of this episode now. Lots that happened, and I do have to say, like, I think this episode left me the most confused out of all of them, just because like I didn't really know what was going on. I felt like after every episode I had a clear theory of what was happening, but this one just kind of changed it all for me.
Yeah, again, with the whole thing with Pietro I was talking about, I felt like that was a big cliffhanger to leave episode 5 off of, and then episode 6 comes along, and then all the theories are pretty much debunked. I saw this one theory where it was like, oh man, if you look at his hand in the reflection of the mirror, you see that his hand's kind of red.
Right?
Does that mean he's so and so villain? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I don't know. His skin's pretty peachy. In the right lighting, it might have looked a little red. But that clearly got debunked, or maybe it's still an underlying theme. But it seemed to me that he was more Pietro than another villain of some sort.
Yeah. Well, this episode, he does kind of seem like he could be the villain or behind all of this. Because I guess, at the end of episode 5, when Wanda says to Vision, like, I didn't do that. I didn't ring the doorbell. I didn't get this guy into our hex. I believe her. I don't think Wanda brought him in.
Are we starting to delve into more subconscious things from Wanda, though? Is she subconsciously bringing him in?
Ooh.
And because I remember, like, I don't know if I heard this correctly, but when they were talking on the bench in this past episode, Halloween, when her and Quicksilver are kind of going into, like, what happened to your accent, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
They also talk about, like, why am I here? Like, I just heard you calling my name. Like, I died from Age of Ultron, then I just heard you.
Yeah.
So what's really happening here? Like, again, is his face changed because she subconsciously changed his face, like, to deal with the pain? We still saw him as a dead figure for a couple seconds, so it's not like she's not scarred still. So I have no idea. Again, I'm at a loss for words. There's different theories, but whenever a theory for me works in one way, it doesn't work in another way. So you're like, okay, well, let's restart here. So that's kind of where my head's at least.
I mean, that is a good point, because Wanda definitely has mentioned his name throughout the series. Like, first talking to Monica in episode 3, bringing up the fact that she had a brother and a twin. And then also in episode, I think it was last episode, talking to her kids, and they were asking if she had a brother. So that came up twice. And yeah, maybe somehow she's just thinking of her brother and she just made him appear.
Yeah.
But I think just the fact that Wanda didn't know why he had showed up at that moment means that she's not fully in control of it. Like, even though she was thinking about it, I think someone else is behind it all. And I guess another question that I have for you is, do you think Pietro was in Westview all along, or do you think he came in from somewhere else?
I think he came in from somewhere else. It was obviously interdimensional travel of some sorts going on, because again, this is supposed to lead into Doctor Strange, which the next movie is supposed to deal with all sorts of time dimension stuff, which will eventually lead into the Spider-Mans having all 3 in that one movie. So I think this is kind of the stepping stone for that. And I don't honestly, I don't know. Like, this question is just a lot of question marks. I have a couple of theories about how Marvel is going to introduce X-Men from this past episode.
Okay.
But other than that, in terms of like Pietro and all of that, I don't really know what's going on with that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know either. I have a feeling that he might have just been there all along, to be honest, because
I don't know. I think someone put him somewhere. Again, going back to Agnes, she might have a lot more power than because again, I'm sure you've mentioned it before, but the whole thing with the IDs, where her ID is not there, you're like, well, okay, like, what the hell's going on with this girl? All right. Yeah. So if something doesn't happen in terms of developing her as either a villain or, I would assume it can only be a villain. I don't know what else. What other role she would play.
I think she's like the Loki to the Thanos. Like, she's working
like an
for someone.
Anti-hero?
Not a hero.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
Just like a sidekick, I guess. Like the wingman, I guess, to the villain.
Yeah. I know exactly.
She does all the dirty work, and he's just like sitting there, like Thanos was in the first Avengers, just chilling. But yeah, who knows what? I am very sus of Agnes. I guess that conversation she had with Vision in this episode kind of swayed my opinion, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
All right. So just to start it off, that opening scene where it was the kids just talking and Pietro was sleeping at first, but then he wakes up, and that, I guess what I took away from that scene is that Pietro is a bit of a bad influence on the kids, it seems. And maybe that goes back to your theory as to why like maybe Agnes and Pietro are working together potentially to try and steal the kids or kill the kids.
Yeah, I theorize about both of those, but I've never actually connected those two dots. That's a really interesting point. Love it.
I guess here's another like point or hot take.
I'm ready for it.
I said this to my friends off the podcast last weekend. What if Pietro is Ralph? like just in disguise.
That's what I've heard too. That would be crazy because because he clearly has some vendetta against Wanda. So it would make sense. And again, like I kind of like someone behind the scenes. I have seen that where maybe it's Buddy sneaking in and out of the Hex, trying to win them over. Because if he's trying to destroy Wanda and saying all these like crazy things, and obviously he wants to get on the inside too. So we'll see.
And I guess like I was thinking that how would Pietro get into Westview without Sword noticing it? Like, because they're monitoring the whole outside of the Hex, but I guess just because he's so fast, like they just couldn't see him.
The only thing that I would use to counter argue that would be, you know how they kind of took on the Malcolm in the Middle sitcom energy for this episode, and they kind of had the flashbacks or whatever. There was a flashback of Pedro and Wanda doing trick-or-treating on Halloween.
Right.
So that's like a childhood memory that I don't think Sword would know. Maybe they do know, but that would be the one thing where it's like, is it the real Pedro because he had this memory, even though it was kind of used in the classic sitcom throwaway gag where it's a cutback? But is that still proof that it's his own memory?
But that was Wanda's memory, though. I think that was Wanda's, not his. Maybe because the camera was on Wanda, right? And then it showed the memory. But I don't know. Because I think like Wanda knows that something's different about this Pietro. Because she even said it, like when they were walking like on the street for Halloween, she said like, "Why do you look different?"
Yeah.
Right. She said something like that. So, okay. What's next? We got I guess heading back to the Sword facility now. We see like a bit of the devil come out in Tyler Hayward, and he gets pretty upset when Darcy starts chirping at him for like, why did you mess with Wanda? What were you thinking sending that drone in? And then Monica saying like, Wanda is the problem here, so she has to be the solution. And I kind of agree with that, even though, Wanda did seem, pretty intense coming out of Westview and very intimidating. And I don't know if that's the kind of person that you want to mess with. But at the end of the day, Hayward basically just kicked out Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy. Just said, hey, get these people out of here. And, that makes me think that he just doesn't want anybody interrupting what he has going on. And because he could be behind all of this, he could be up to something that he doesn't want them to find out. And then also he did bring up Carol Danvers to Monica as well, which is interesting. I don't really know what's going on there.
I think, I think she's going to have a big part to play in Captain Marvel 2. Monica is. But I guess I don't know if that's just the MCU tying in their other movies,
right?
Like that, or it's just like a throwaway line like that, or if there's more meaning to it. But in terms of the show outside of the Hex, Captain Marvel kind of seems to be like a lot of the roots of where Monica's story is coming from. Obviously, as she was in Captain Marvel, but a lot of her storyline in this show is also kind of going back to Captain Marvel in some ways. So I think it might just be her, them setting her up to be a sidekick or something with Captain Marvel, because they talk about how when she went through the Hex, all her cells are changed, and she's going to become a superhero because of that or something. And then, Captain Marvel was with her in the first movie when she was a kid. So I could possibly see that continuing when she's an adult.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to carry over. And then even in like the Miss Marvel series that's going to come out soon, I think she might be in that one. But it seems like both times, because Carol Danvers was also mentioned in, was it episode 4 or 5? When Jimmy brought it up about the whole battle with Thanos, she said like, oh, I thought Captain Marvel came pretty close. And then it seemed like Monica got kind of emotional, or like she just wanted to like move on from the subject. So I feel like something happened. And like, obviously when Captain Marvel took place, was that like that was like 1950s or something like that, 1960s?
I would say later. I think we're looking at 80s, 90s
1980s.
here.
Okay,
Yeah.
1980s. So that's a lot of time. That's basically Monica's childhood. We don't
Honestly,
know what happened then.
My theory to that is, like Captain Marvel left to go save the galaxy and everything, and then basically just left. So I could see as Monica being, how old is she in that movie? Say like 10 or whatever she is in that movie. I could see that character as a child just being upset that a guardian that they looked up to just kind of dipped.
Right.
So I could potentially see that conflict, hurting her and be like kind of scarring her, like, wow, she kind of just saved our lives and dipped for 30 years or whatever the case was. So that could be a little thing that they touch upon later on.
Yeah, for sure. And just the fact that I guess Monica's mom then died after she woke up from the blip, or and maybe she's thinking like, oh, what, Carol didn't blip, why didn't you save her, or maybe something like that. Anyways, back to inside the hex. I guess we kind of talked about this, like Wanda was just like testing Pietro just to see if he remembered stuff from their past. And I think they brought up something like, I think at the orphanage, like there was this one guy that was like, I don't know, he had like a skin condition or something. I don't know what was they were saying.
I'm not exactly sure either.
Yeah. But I think Pietro answered it. Actually, no, he didn't answer it. He like just kind of played it off. He was just like, you're testing me. And then Wanda got more suspicious. She's just like, why do you look different? Stuff like that. And then Pietro was just like you said earlier, I was shot, and then the next thing I know, I heard you calling, and I came, and
which is information that Sword would know about him being shot and everything, if it is them infiltrating. Right. Also, something that he said that I just remembered now, when he said when Vision was crawling out of the hex and was dying, he was like, wow, well, your husband, you can't die twice, or some snarky comment, and then she just blasted him. Pietro would have been dead before he knew that. No,
exactly. Yeah, so, no, you're 100% right. Yeah, there's something up with that. Yeah. Definitely.
And then she also just blasted him into a hay bale. So could definitely tell that she was aggravated with that and didn't. And I don't think we see him after that in the episode.
No.
So
as she pauses time.
And then it does all that. So the last time we see Wanda and Pietro together, it's when Wanda just absolutely blasts him 20 feet to the right. So that's another thing.
Wanda was definitely pretty upset with how Pietro was like just treating her kids, I guess, throughout the entire episode, and like even just like destroying all the pumpkins, and then taking all the candy, and
they're being bad guys, like they're being sitcom bad guys. Like if they're doing Malcolm in the Middle, a Disney type show, like they're doing a Disney type version of a villain, which is just stealing candy and all of that stuff. So it's definitely comparable in terms of like TV sitcom to trying to make these kids actual villains and work for you in the MCU.
What else is there? Wanda's interaction with Herb as well, on that same street. Well, I guess maybe like we can talk like Vision. First of all, he said that he was gonna go to the street and kind of just watch out for any trouble that was going to be happening. But we later find out that's not the case. But Wanda goes up to Herb, and Herb's dealing with, the pumpkin smashing, all the things that Quicksilver is doing. And then Wanda says, oh, it's okay. Vision can help you out with that. And then Herb's like, Vision, he's not on duty. And then Wanda's just confused as to where he could have gone. And Herb says, do you want something changed? That was the line. Do you want something changed?
That kind of reminded me of when Agnes walked in, I believe it was 2 episodes ago, and wanted to hold the babies. And Vision said no, and it's like, oh, do you want me to like redo the scene?
Exactly.
Kind of like an outtake. And also, if you remember, Herb and Agnes were talking in, I believe, the 3rd episode, next to the bush where Herb like eventually like, he chainsaws through. They're talking, and Vision's like, we're what? They're like, nothing. And they were having that discourse together. So the fact that Herb said, do you want me to change something? And Agnes also said, would you like me to redo it? And with them talking together in episode 3, that means I think that they're both in it together. Yeah. So if anything, if Agnes is the sidekick to some other higher power, he would be the sidekick to Agnes.
Yeah.
That's
I feel like so many of these people are involved in it. I don't know if
it's there's the mailman thing. I've heard some. I haven't really looked too deep into the mailman. He's only had 3 lines, but apparently each one of his 3 lines have been super significant. And I'm just not what's the word, like not nerdy enough. I haven't delved into those. There's just so much to look at.
You don't want to be hung up in those 3 lines.
Yeah. Well, when you're researching like what's going on with Agnes and Pietro and the kids, you know, the mailman just kind of slides underneath the radar, which kind of goes to show how good this series is, because there's so many questions, and Disney's done a real good job at keeping you guessing. Yeah.
And we're still not sure. Like, we haven't seen Dottie since like the 2nd episode.
No. Yeah.
Or her husband. Mm-hmm. There's got to be some other people that we haven't seen. We've only seen, like, I guess we've seen Norm in the last episode when he was awakened, but we haven't seen too much of him.
Yeah.
I guess everybody else at that neighborhood watch meeting, we haven't seen them. Still haven't seen Mr. Hart. We're after the 1st episode. Haven't seen him at all.
Something I've also noticed is, like, in general, is that it started with no children. Remember when they had in the 50s, they had the show for children, the talent show. There's no children. Now there's a bunch. So that kind of goes with her adding more to the town and making it more fleshed out than before. So.
And Pietro even mentions that in this episode, saying like, how did you do it? Like, where were these children? And
which is also something that, because he wouldn't have known that there previously weren't children in there for the 1950s sitcoms. So how is he like, hey, how'd you get all these kids in here? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm not a sword agent.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if he's sword agent. I still don't know about that, but I think he's been in there then. It's either he's a sword agent or he's been in there, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. It's going to be really interesting.
But if he's a sword agent, how does he have the Quicksilver powers? How does he have like the super speed?
Well, I don't know. It might just be being in the world, right? Like, I don't know. If Vision's supposed to be dead, how is he alive? Like, there's a lot. There's a lot of things that can kind of be. You can talk about it in each way. It's also sci-fi. You can kind of stretch the truth for anything.
That's true. Yeah. What else we got? We got after that whole conversation with Herb, then it switches over to Vision's side of the story. Where did he go? And he's walking around different parts of Westview. He reaches one part where it seems like this one lady is trying to like pin her clothes on a clothesline, and she just can't do it. It's like a glitch. She's just going like this the whole time, and she's crying. There's a tear coming out of her eye. So it's almost as if she's like half in the spell and half out of it, because that's why I guess she's crying, because she's a human, but the glitch is like the spell, I guess.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is that you can look at this in terms of just sitcoms in general, and how WandaVision is kind of mirroring this. So in the 1950s sitcoms, you only had your core cast. You didn't really have extras. Whereas in shows like Malcolm in the Middle or just all those types of shows where there's no like laugh track or anything, there's a lot more characters. Like, you go outside and you're not on a set with a live studio audience. You go outside where there's extras walking all around. And we talked about Wanda adding all these kids. So with her adding more and more characters, more scenery and this and that. Yeah. It's kind of like a video game. It's like, a PS2 can't power a PS5 game. So once Wanda just kept upgrading her town and doing all this thing and adding all these kids and more humans, it's almost like she can't control everything else. So it's kind of like in a video game where a building is like out of render distance and it's like really blobby until you get close. So I feel like since like Vision's on the outskirts of town, this girl's just like kind of like Like she's out of render distance. She's kind of just
so like
there.
Wanda's not close enough to her.
Yeah, and she's controlling so much in the little town square where everyone's trick-or-treating that she doesn't have the extent to do everyone on the outskirts. Yeah, that's kind of my theory. Was kind of like, again, like you're in Fortnite, but like a kilometer away, the building just looks like a piece of blob until you move,
but then when you get closer,
because there's just so much going on. That's like that's something I've thought about, and it kind of going back to the whole adding kids thing. She's just adding and adding and adding. Now she's expanding the whole town. So like, how much can you add before you kind of lose control?
Yeah, I guess we did skip over this a little bit. Like we touched on it, but like, yeah, how did she even get the kids? Like, how would she have just broadened in the kids? Like, she got them from like the outside world, or did she just make them? Or...
her like the like her kids or the extra?
No,
kids?
Not her kids.
I think she just selfishly took them in.
Damn.
Kind of like the same thing with everyone else with the IDs. I think she just got some kids that that are missing right now.
They just showed up out of nowhere with no like all Vision said at the end of the episode, last episode, was that why aren't there any kids in Westview? And now this episode we see the streets and there's like a ton of them. So there's something wrong with that.
Because every time Vision suspects something, Wanda just wants to keep him happy at the end of the day, and she wants to uphold this perfect world, and she hates every time something kind of goes wrong. So he goes, why aren't there any kids? And she goes, there have always been kids. What do you mean? And then it's like snaps in a bunch of them, because she's trying to, like, every time Vision questions something, she'll fix that something.
I guess Wanda could technically just like make a kid like out of her, like her Mind Stone power. Just like think about it. This is how I want this kid to look like. There you go. Kid. I don't know. Maybe.
Who knows? I really don't. It's only 3 more episodes. Like, I keep forgetting that. It feels like it's just going to go on forever. But
honestly, at this point, I'm thinking that there's not going to be like a solution in this series. I think it's just going to carry right over to Doctor Strange. Like, I'm wrong about that, but that's the way it's feeling.
Yeah, if anything, like the last 2 episodes are going to have to be devoted to getting to the solution, because I feel like they have one more episode to kind of play with. I think based off the trailers, I know they're going to kind of touch upon Modern Family in terms of sitcom styles, where in terms of like you're talking to the camera in an interview on the couch. Thing. Yeah, kind of like The Office, stuff like that. I've seen that in the trailer, so I know they have one more to do at least. Because also, if this was 2000s, then Modern Family-ish would be 2010s. So
that's like, 2 episodes from now.
That's kind of it, though. Well, like, because like we're in 2021, right? So they have the 2000s, then they do the 2010s. You don't really have a 2020 style defined yet. So like, I feel like after the Modern Family take or the 2010 sitcom, that's kind of it for the sitcom shtick. And there's 3 episodes left with only one genre left to hit. So there's 2 episodes where there's kind of, okay, like what sitcom do they do? Or I think they just commit to Marvel stuff.
So like you think the next episode will be the Modern Family kind of thing?
The 2010 sitcom, I feel like. And
then we're skipping over the 2000s to 2010s.
Well, I feel like this past episode 6 was that, because I was like Malcolm in the Middle, like Life with Derek, Lizzie McGuire. It kind of gave off that vibe. Whereas the one that I'm surprised they skipped over was kind of like the Friends Seinfeld era, because
I thought that's kind of what this one was supposed to be. Wasn't this one supposed to be 90s?
Well, I think what they did in the last episode was kind of 80s/90s, like late 80s, early 90s. But I feel like that just completely screws over fans of the mid 90s, which is when sitcoms kind of took that extra step with Friends, Seinfeld, and all that fun jazz.
Yeah.
So I feel like they kind of touched upon it doing 80s/90s. I think they were kind of more going for a Full House kind of vibe.
Right.
But
that's a good point then. Yeah.
So I think we just skipped to 2000. So now we got 2010s, and I think that's it. So there's 2 episodes to work with.
Yeah.
In terms of what's the sitcom aspect, or are we just going to go into full-blown Marvel for 2 episodes,
And I've seen also like snippets and trailers of, I think there's one shot of Wanda like at the sword facility, like inside, like talking to someone. Then, I mean, we're probably just going to see also the scene of her going into the sword facility and taking the body like from... Like we saw it on the camera already, but we might actually see like it from her perspective, like when like her walking in, stuff like that. There's also the one scene in the trailer that I keep thinking about is when Wanda's like, this is our home. And then Vision's like, then let's fight for it, right? I don't know if you remember that scene from the trailer, but that tells me that maybe Wanda got Vision to just accept the fact that like this is their home now, and that's why Vision says, then let's fight for it. Or maybe Vision was lying when saying that, and maybe because I think Vision's intentions are to save everyone in Westview. I don't know if that's changed because of the fact that now he knows he's dead. From that conversation with Agnes, from leaving Westview in this episode, he knows that in real life, he is dead. He doesn't have a past. He doesn't remember the fact that he was an Avenger.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that kind of threw me off guard too, because I thought he would have some knowledge of that. Like as soon as Agnes says Avenger, I thought it would trigger something, but and that's sad. And we'll talk about the Vision scene a bit later. But what else we got? Also is it Tommy? Tommy has super speed now. Yeah. So
and then her other son has more mind powers.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird how he was able to track Vision in that sense, and Wanda wasn't able to.
Which just might show how powerful he's gonna be.
Yeah.
Which I think they're also comic book characters, the two kids.
Wiccan and Speed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Wicked was the mind guy's name, but
yeah, I like him. I don't really like the other guy though.
I think it's good for what they're trying to go for. You know, like you have one resembling Quicksilver, the other one Wanda, or Scarlet Witch, depending on how you want to say it. But
yeah, we'll see. Going back to outside of Westview, Darcy finds out that Tyler Hayward isn't really sharing information with the rest of the group, and he has a way to look inside the hex and tracking different people, and he put a tracker on Vision in specific. That would show him walking around, and then Jimmy got a chance to look at Darcy's screen, and he notices that there's some people that are further away from Wanda and closer to the outside that just aren't really moving. But he also asks if they are alive. That was his question. He's just like, are they even alive? And I guess my question to you is, like, do you think like maybe most people in Westview are actually dead? And this is kind of just like a cemetery, like Vision. Maybe Agnes is dead. Maybe that explains why there was no kids. Maybe she didn't. Like, actually, I don't know about that part. But do you think that there could be? Like, it's like a cemetery.
Well, it checks out in terms of that. I feel like it would have been mentioned though when in episode 4 when they were going through all the IDs. I feel like they'd be like, these are all true. These people are all deceased. But other than that, I mean, it adds up. Everyone that we've known minus Wanda, like we know Pietro, we know Vision in terms of those characters. Every character that we've previously been introduced to before this show has been dead entering the hex minus Wanda. So we don't know any of the other characters really that have been inside, minus Monica off that freak incident. But so in terms of that, it checks out. But that'd be a crazy bomb from the drop. That'd be kind of dark. That'd be really weird.
So dark, yeah.
That would be like morally conflicting.
Yeah,
you know, because like you're bringing them back to life, but like as slaves. I don't know about that. That's kind of weird. But
it's just like giving them a second life, I guess.
Yeah, in a sitcom. But I mean, also if the lady hanging up her laundry's crying, I think that they're alive trying to get back to a happy life. Also, in the previous episode where Vision is at the office and he zaps the guy. He's like, I have to call up my family.
Right.
And that. And he's like, this and that. And he's like, where's my phone? And it's like, it's the 90s, man. There ain't no cell phones. But so I think that, like, if he had that much panic, I feel like he'd be alive. True.
He's definitely alive. Yep. Yeah, that definitely just debunks my theory. Yeah, that's definitely right.
Get roasted.
I feel so bad for all these people now. Like, because they have lives. They have lives outside of Westview that they just can't seem to reach anyone. And Vision's trying to help them out. And anyways, Vision reaches another part of Westview where nobody's moving. Looks around, tries to ask a lady if those are like her kids, but she's just frozen. She can't move. Nothing's happening. And then Vision decides, okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna put on my regular costume and go take a look from the sky. Gonna get a bird's eye view of this city. And
I don't even know why he's afraid to show himself in public now. He knows this place is messed up. Just commit to the Vision outfit.
Exactly. And that's what Wanda was doing in last episode. Like, she was comfortable using her powers like around Agnes and stuff. And yeah, I guess Vision's kind of maybe more comfortable with it now. So yeah, he goes pretty high up just to look at everything. And he turns and he notices this one car that's parked at a stop sign. And yeah, he just finds that suspicious somehow. I guess she's not turning. She's just staying there.
It's just, four-way stop, but there's no other cars. Why aren't you going?
Exactly. So he goes down to take a look, and it's Agnes in the car, and it's the scene that we saw from the trailer as well. And so Vision goes down. They have a little bit of a talk while Agnes is like kind of what that lady with the clothespin was doing, like kind of just in a bit of a glitch, but Agnes was actually still able to talk a little bit. And she said that she got lost and she took a wrong turn.
In the town she grew up.
In the town she grew up in. Grew up in.
Yeah.
But I feel like that line could also be some sort of like metaphor as to maybe how Agnes got involved in this in the first place. She just got lost and she took a dark turn. She like made a deal with the devil. She and yeah, stuff like that. But I guess like, why was Agnes driving?
I don't know. Like that's the part that throws mine, I'm sure, as well as a lot of other people's Agnes theories. Like all the Agnes theories that have been going around.
Yeah.
It makes you question it because you're like, okay, wait, if you're controlling things, are you just lying to Vision's face here? Are you just kind of, you're talking because the other people weren't talking at all, so you have some power to talk? Does that mean anything?
Right.
And why were you under some sort of trance if she wasn't faking it, right? Is she losing control since Wanda is rapidly expanding it? And I feel like in episode 6 we saw how much more control Wanda has over the Hex than we initially thought. So I think we used to think like, Wanda's like controlling a lot, but maybe she's like 33%, but like there's another 2/3 that are just like pulling the strings. But this episode Wanda's just like, all right, expand, do this, everyone freeze, this and that.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking maybe like 75-25 round like that.
Yeah,
and
but I think even more so now though. I feel like it's really close to almost all of it. So maybe is Agnes losing control and that's why she's getting lost because this wasn't part of the plan. I really don't know, because I thought Agnes was the puppets, the puppet master there, and if not Hayward, right? So So if Agnes, that's one half my prediction.
Why was Agnes driving there? That's so weird. Like, was she trying to leave?
Yeah, or like was she trying to report back? Because she was right at the edge of the border, right? And then you see the road, then you see the empty fields of where the base would be, but it's cloaked by the border. So was she driving and then going to sneak through the edges to talk to Hayward or do this and that? Because she's at the border and she's at. Because since it's a hexagon, right? She just happens to be at the spot where the base is on the other side of it, She's not on some other area on the side. Like, she's right in front of the base.
Yeah.
And so maybe she was going back, then Vision came. She was like, oh, crap, I got to pretend like I'm kind of out of it. But I don't know. All my Angus theories are just all mush to get Angus, Agnes, whatever, man. I'm thinking about Harvey's Angus burgers right now. Yeah. I think we are cooking burgers tonight. So maybe, anyways,
perfect. Yeah.
Off topic, but yeah.
No, yeah,
Agnes.
It's weird. I was in the same boat as you. I thought it was Agnes, and like it still could be. It could definitely still be her. But yeah, that conversation that she had with Vision, Vision awakens her, and she becomes, I guess, like her human self, what she would be in the real world. And they have a little bit of a talk. Like Vision says, or Agnes says, like, "Oh, you're an Avenger." But then she says, like, what does she say? She says, "But aren't you dead?" or something like that. Or oh no, she says, "Am I dead? Am I dead?" And then
she started screaming, "Dead, dead, dead, dead."
Yeah, that's probably just the glitch, I would.
Yeah, and then she started laughing to herself. She was like, Addis, like, I got lost, silly me, and started like laughing to herself. So I was like, was that more like you laughing at yourself for thinking of a bad excuse because you're like, haha, I'm controlling this, that was bad, what a bad excuse, ha ha ha.
That was a scary laugh too.
Yeah, it was an evil villain laugh, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But also yeah, I saw this is definitely just a throwaway theory, like, don't think about this too much, but I saw this somewhere on the internet, and it was basically saying, like, since it's going to open up multiverse and all of that, she voices Doc Ock in the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So everyone's like, is she gonna be Doc Ock or whatever? But it's like the same thing with Chris Evans being in the Fantastic Four and Captain America. It's not like he's gonna switch. So I was like, that'd be hilarious if, you know, the voice actor of the female Doc Ock and her. But again, throwaway theory. I just thought that was pretty funny. If it is true, though, you heard it.
That'd be
first.
Gigantic. Yeah. That'd be crazy. Oh man, I don't know. That whole Spider-Man movie is gonna be crazy with all the cameos and the old people coming back. But
can't wait.
What's coming out first? Is it the Doctor Strange one or the Spider-Man?
I want to say Doctor Strange, could be wrong. Well, it's Black Widow, but that movie's been cursed from COVID.
Well, Black Widow and then it's like Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi and then Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. It's those four.
Yeah.
That's kind of the next, and then like Black Panther 2 soon after, but that's kind of, now we're looking too far in the future.
I'm looking forward to some of those, like even like the Thor movie, like Love and Thunder. That's gonna be
Marvel is just hitting now. Like they're just, I love the series, and then the new series Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, we just got that trailer.
Super Bowl trailer looks so good. That looks more Marvel-esque episode to episode, not as conceptual. Which I don't know how I feel. I feel like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, I want like cool Marvel shows. I don't want like a Marvel movie in a Marvel show, if you know what I mean.
Marvel is playing with us right now. Like, we're expecting this WandaVision type show now for every single Marvel content, like this whole mystery thing.
I like it though. I like
I
like the slow burns. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, even though like it's like every episode is just not much context, but like but I like how they're making us wait. You know, we haven't gotten Marvel content for like it seems like 2 years, and it's nice that they're prolonging it a little bit.
It's smart from a business standpoint too, just because people are talking about the show every week versus if it's like a Netflix drop or the whole season drops at once. Everyone's saying, all right, season 1 review. And then after all the season 1, it's just done. Yeah. Now we are like two and a half months straight of just like Disney, Marvel, WandaVision. Like they're just keeping us hooked, which is super smart. And I'm here for it.
Yeah. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier, like 2 weeks later, and then Loki, and then all the movies.
And it's fun doing stuff like this where you can just speculate and just kind of just talk about and have fun. Whereas if season 1, all of it dropped in one day, like ain't no time for speculation because I'm watching the entire thing front to back.
Exactly.
You know?
And the fact that it is a mystery genre, like I would hate for it to come out in one day because like the mystery is gone. You can find out what happens in one day. But like because it's a mystery, like you want to prolong it. So yeah, it's good. It's a great show. I love this show. It's addicting and it's intriguing.
It is.
Well, what else we got here? The aerospace engineer as well is an interesting part of this show because Monica brought it up last episode. She has an aerospace engineer that she was texting in episode 5. And Jimmy and her will go to meet meet this person. She said it's a guy. And
I know like in terms of like aerospace engineering, your initial thought is Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Reed from the Fantastic Four, because he's into that field. So you think of Marvel acquiring Fox, and you see Evan Peters as Quicksilver. You're like, okay, so like, are they gonna meet Dr. Reed now? Like, are we gonna be getting Fantastic Four? I don't think so. I feel like that would kind of be like it'd be really cool. I wouldn't hate it if they did it
fast, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be really fast. Like, okay, we were X-Men, like let's pump the brakes here. But other than that, I feel like it would be Mr. Phil Coulson or
that's a big one. I didn't think of that.
I think Phil Coulson's a big one because he was high up in SHIELD. Kind of
imagine that because
he worked on that stuff.
Yeah. The Avengers don't know that he's alive, apparently.
Yeah. I didn't even, I remember I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. pretty closely until like the latter years of it. So yeah, I just remember the whole Tahiti thing or whatever it was. And he basically, Phil Coulson's been going through a bunch of stuff behind the scenes from the Marvel movies. So it wouldn't be crazy for him to show up. aerospace engineering. I don't know his name, but he's in Thor, and he got
Eric Selvig.
Yeah. He got like hypnotized by Loki at the first Avengers.
Yeah.
Like he would be my other guess. So I would say like, I think if you're really reaching and you want that big bang of an announcement, I would say Mr. Fantastic. If not, I think the more realistic answer is Phil Coulson.
Yeah, that's genius. I have not thought about that theory at all, but that's pretty
and then then the other guy if you also want a third guess.
Right. Yeah. I've been hearing like Jane Foster potentially, who's also in the Thor movies, Darcy's friend.
Well, yeah. Does they have a connection to Darcy? She'd have to get Darcy out of the hex now.
Yeah, maybe. But I think the biggest one that I've been hearing is that little girl from Captain Marvel, Monica, the Skrull girl.
Oh yeah, the Skrull.
Talos's daughter, I guess. They were talking like on the stairs. Maybe it's her.
Maybe. Well, yeah. Well, we've seen that before, where Nick Fury was a Skrull for a couple of movies without us knowing, and then just in the end credit scene, they said, "Haha, get pranked." So.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, and in that end credit scene in the Spider-Man movie of Nick Fury up at the sword facility, like that's got to tie in somehow. And that Spider-Man Far From Home took place after this as well. So how did Fury get from Earth to there, or was he ever like, when did he leave for there? So maybe it's Nick Fury, and also the costume that young Pietro was wearing in that flashback to when Wanda and him were trick-or-treating.
It was an eye patch.
It was an eye patch.
Yeah.
I wonder if that has anything to do with that.
That's interesting.
That's a bit of an Easter egg. Maybe it's Nick Fury, and that would be a great entrance. Like any of these entrances would be phenomenal. Like
literally every one is a win.
Yeah, like even Doctor Strange. Like could be him. And I don't know if you've heard, but like Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen have been kind of like teasing who another like surprise actor is going to be later on in the series. And it's someone that Paul Bettany hasn't gotten the chance to work with yet. And they had like fireworks together in this series. Benedict Cumberbatch has not worked with Paul Bettany. They didn't have any scenes in Infinity War. Obviously, Vision wasn't in Endgame. In Civil War, nothing.
I heard some people thinking Hawkeye, but Paul Bettany would have been with Hawkeye for Age of Ultron at least.
And Civil War, yeah.
Yeah, and Civil War. So interesting.
Yeah. I feel like that entrance is just going to be great. And like we already saw that one badass scene where Wanda leaves Westview in last episode, and
I feel like really good.
I feel like we're gonna get another one like that. But let's get into the juicy part of this episode, and that's where Vision leaves. Vision tries to leave Westview. Darcy first sees it on her computer. She stayed back when Jimmy and Monica went to visit that aerospace engineer. Darcy sees Vision getting closer and closer to the exit. And yeah, I gotta say, this was a pretty sad scene. I thought it was pretty sad because like we've seen Vision die twice already.
I know, man. This guy's been put through the ringer. Like poor Vision.
I feel so bad because like he's becoming one of my favorite characters too. Like he's the only guy that kind of knows something's up and is trying to like save the day. And like he's just gonna die at the end. And now like we saw him like kind of die in this one. But he's gonna be alive.
He's gonna
die again. But then he's gonna die again. So he's gonna die like 4 times in total in the MCU.
That's so tough. Yeah, I really like Vision. I'm happy he got like his own TV show.
Yeah, but dude, I thought he made it out at first. Me
too. Yeah, I thought he was close, but I feel like because Wanda made the force field red at the end of one of the episodes. It's like I feel like that just made it stronger. For sure. So I don't know if that was part of it, but I think it's whoever Wanda wants in and out, she will have, because when Monica got pushed out, Wanda was the one doing the force fields, and she just literally pushed her out because she wanted her out. And Vision's obviously the number one person she doesn't want out. So I feel like maybe that was dragging him in, or maybe it's the stronger force field, or maybe it's the fact that when he leaves, he's going back to his dead self. So it's reverting back. all three I think are pretty logical.
Those are good. Yeah. Yeah. And I found it interesting how he, like, as he was, so I guess we should tell the audience, like, he doesn't make it, kind of. He tries to leave the force field, the hex, and like, we think he makes it at first. He drops to his knees, and then you start seeing like particles of him like start coming off.
It's like a really strong magnet, just like sucking bits and pieces off of him.
Yeah, like back into the hex.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me a bit of the snap some way. And
I feel like that, I think that was a definite nod to it, kind of like from a visual perspective. That was definitely like, hey, remember that? It's like PTSD, you know, like you're seeing it happen again.
Yeah, no, there was another part where Darcy then gets sucked in, and she's just like she was gonna swear, she was gonna say but then but that was like a throwback to
in classic Marvel fashion. Yeah, like Samuel L.
Yeah, exactly, in Infinity War. Like, that's that was funny too. But yeah, so Vision just keeps getting those particles away, but he's still trying to communicate to Sword, saying like, these people need help. Like, you got to help the people.
Well, if again, going back to the trailers, I think the next episode we're going to see confrontation between Vision and Wanda. It's a small, stupid clip, but it's him basically in like Vision in like the field. So you'd assume the skirts of the hex, but on the inside this time. And he's like just zooming back, but it's like a half-second clip where he's just like gunning it back like into town.
And so you're like,
so I'm like, hey, like maybe like it starts off like him like getting back inside, and he's just like, yo, what the hell, and just goes boom. So again, it's a literal half-second clip of him flying, but we haven't seen it yet, and it looks like he's on the skirts.
Oh, I've seen that. I think that was like the mid-season trailer. And
he's on. It looks like he's like on like, you know, like the outskirts, or not on the outskirts, but like just inside the bubble in the fields, and then he's just darting back towards the city.
Right.
But quick little thing. So I think next episode is going to be Vision really going off the rails, like a big WTF moment for Vision.
I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how he reacts to him finally realizing what he is outside of Westview. He's a dead man. He doesn't exist outside of it. And is he going to try and keep this reality going with Wanda now because he knows this is the only way he can survive? Or does he really care about the people of Westview and trying to save them? And does he pull like a Tony Stark and just kind of sacrifice himself?
That'd be cool.
But yeah, it just sucks because I don't think there's a way he's going to come back. I don't think there's any way he could still be alive after this series.
Also, if you look at it from a business perspective, Paul Bettany's been in the MCU since he was Jarvis and Iron Man. Like, Buddy's been in the MCU for 14 years now, 13 years.
Yeah.
So he's been in a long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if he, like, as an actor, would want to leave, which would make him die obviously here. But going back into the actual show and the characters, I feel like Vision's doomed regardless of what Paul Bettany wants.
Right. Yeah. I just hope there's a satisfying ending to his storyline.
Give him I don't want his last real moment being Thanos ripping a stone out of his head.
Yeah.
That would just suck having him go out like that.
He's got to do something heroic at the end. And we haven't seen Vision use like too much of his powers yet in this series, like at all. Like, we know he can do some serious damage with that Mind Stone in his head.
And we haven't seen him like pop off yet. The most we've seen him kind of go off on someone was when he started yelling at Wanda, because he was always kind of like, you know, an android, like always calm, cool, collected. And then he finally like yelled, and like, I've never seen that emotion from Vision ever.
No.
So that means if you haven't seen that emotion from Vision, imagine what that power can bring out of, which also sparks the question, is that the Mind Stone?
Yeah. Is that the Mind Stone? Well, it can't be. Like, and I was looking at the clip of him leaving too, and the stone is still in his head, or the stone is still in his head as he exits. So that stone didn't go away. Like, I thought the stone was just an illusion the whole time, but it's not. Well, like, that's actually like something.
Have you heard about the theory that whoever is controlling the whole WandaVision thing, they're using Wanda to recreate the Infinity Stones?
I haven't heard that.
So a lot of it stems to the commercials. So you look at the commercials each time, each commercial is representing a different stone. So the watch in the very first one, like the way they're talking about it represented more like the Mind Stone. There was the soap, and the soap was in a blue cube container.
All right, Tesseract.
And
right,
then
yeah.
with the paper towel pick me up, they were spilling red liquid everywhere. So like kind of like the red liquid. And then this one would have been this recent episode with the yogurt, the kid eating it on the island.
Yeah.
People were thinking it was the Soul Stone because he just like slowly lost his soul in the skeleton. And also, if you see like the sun is the same color when it's rising and setting. So again, it's a lot of looking into things.
Interesting.
But everyone's saying like some more than others, but some commercials have strong connections to Infinity Stones, whereas other ones are more, you have to really look in between the lines, which maybe means to stretch, because there is the parts of commercials where it clearly dates back to Wanda's childhood and her past.
Yeah.
But there's also these little things where you're like, dude, is that the Tesseract I'm looking at?
I don't know. I feel like that's just not going to be the case, though. I feel like Marvel is moving on from the Infinity Stones, and like the only villain that was interested in getting the Infinity Stones was Thanos, I guess, right?
But it could be a theory where it's like Sword or some Hydra thing. They'd be like, maybe. Well, look how powerful those are. Again, something I've seen, and then I looked at it and I was like, what would this episode be? And then people were saying the Soul Stone. I was like, I agree. And with the last episode with the red liquid. And the stone was very liquidy in Thor: The Dark World, if you know what I mean. Like when Jane gets like sucked into it. So
I think in the first episode with like the toaster, that could have even been the time stone, because you hear like that beeping for when the toast is getting ready.
I think no, the watch is the time stone.
Oh, the watch is the time
stone. There's the watch, because in the 1960s one, not the 50s one, the episode 2 I think was the time stone with the watch.
Right, that makes more sense.
So I'd have to look at it and like label each one as what, but I think if you look into it, you can you'll see like what people are talking about. It's pretty interesting.
You can definitely make that theory. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to look into that more. And I'll keep my eye out next commercial. To see if I can find like the Power Stone, I guess. We kind of leave off on the episode. We touched on it before, but it was Wiccan who actually noticed that Vision was dying and was trying to leave the hex. And then I guess the biggest thing that happened out of this episode was Wanda expands the hex to keep Vision alive.
I think that was really big.
That's huge.
No, I was thinking that's how they bring in X-Men to the MCU. I think her expanding it, I think that event single-handedly brings X-Men into the MCU more so than Pietro, because we talked about Monica going through the barrier and how her cells have changed, and now she's going to get like superpowers. She's going to become a superhero like in the comics, et cetera, et cetera. So when she just expands it, like who knows how far she expanded it? Like basically most of the guys at Sword got sucked in.
I think all of them except for maybe the 3 of them in that car.
Yeah, everyone and then who knows how much she went into other towns and stuff like this. But if all their cells mutated when crossing into the border, that means it spawns all these mutants.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
superpower things. So like is this like the big bang for mutants in the MCU? Because
I would think so.
If all these people if all their cells are changing now and they all become powered, would that be Marvel's way of saying, here's how we bring in X-Men? Because Wanda, who is a mutant in the comics, is in more the X-Men side than the other side. She she has this whole storyline where she's like, no more mutants, and she can bring mutants and this and that, and she's a mutant herself. So her actually doing the expanding would make sense in terms of creating more mutants.
Or it could just be like a bit of a tease, and then at the end of this, she says no more mutants.
Yeah, because,
and then they all
because that's one of the biggest lines of like the comics. Like I remember like when they first announced Scarlet Witch Wanda for the MCU back in 2014 for Age of Ultron or whatever. I remember looking at the comics, and that was one of her most famous lines in the comics was no more mutants, and then she could just obliterate everything. So I feel like we might be building up towards that, which is very interesting. That was my biggest thing. I was like, X-Men, like is everyone sucked in gonna have powers? Is Darcy gonna have powers? You don't know
what's gonna happen with Darcy. Like, she's definitely gonna have something. And like,
if in terms of Darcy, I think I know what she's gonna be doing in the Hex, just based off promotional work. Again, kind of went nerdy into it.
Okay.
Would you like me to?
Yeah, let's go. Let's hear it.
Indulge you. All right. So in like the like all the all the posters for WandaVision where it's like the character, but like there's all the TVs like under them and they look different in the TVs. So she also has one of those posters and she has like this outfit on and it has like some certain like swirl design. And then when you see Wanda expanding the hex and then it absorbs the base turns into a circus.
Right.
And the circus has that same little curved design, so she'll probably be working for the circus in some capacity. Okay. Nothing groundbreaking, but just a little insight based off like the posters that released months ago. Everyone's like, oh, so that little design on her shirt on that TV, that's the same design as the circus. So
yeah, that would make sense. I think
how that plays out, I don't know.
I wonder if there's any chance that Darcy is maybe like the only one that stays herself or something like that. Because I think like Darcy's obviously really, really smart. I feel like she could maybe find a way to just break out of this. And also, we don't know what Darcy saw on her computer, because when she was looking, she saw this one file that said eyes only.
And she said, gotcha, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you're right. I don't remember her actually looking at that.
Well, I don't think she could open it because it said Tyler Hayward eyes only, but unless she opened it like off screen, but maybe whatever she saw there could help her inside the hex. Yeah. Maybe she knows something that, okay, Tyler Hayward is maybe behind all of this. I know how to get to the center. Maybe she found information on like a certain place in Westview she has to go to. Like that's the center. Yeah. That's where
honestly,
everything's...
the biggest thing is is she going to be consciously herself?
Yeah, I doubt it. Like, probably not. Do I think she's going to get powers? Maybe, because we saw what Monica did. But also, Monica was actually like physically shot out as well. So maybe that's where some of her powers came from.
Yeah.
But for the other people who are just there
absorbed
and didn't have any Mind Stone like power onto them, I guess maybe they're fine.
Yeah. But, a lot of angles to take.
There's so many angles. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff to unpack. Anything else we got? Yeah, Hayward escapes as well. That kind of upset me. I wish he got sucked in.
Yeah, I feel like that's good though in terms of the story. Like we'll see. Yeah, like sure. we'll still have that aspect outside of the world.
Yeah, and Jamie, Monica, and Darcy, they make a good team.
They're a dream team, man. They should have their own show.
I didn't think Jimmy had that punch in him too at the beginning.
Oh man, he was catch me there. He was in Fresh Off the Boat. This guy can carry a TV show. It's Fresh Off the Boat. Exactly. It's a good show. Same with he was in The Dictator or not in The Dictator.
Was he?
No, he was in the one with the interview. The interview.
Oh, okay.
With, Seth Rogen and James.
Yeah. Right. That was good. Yeah. Yeah. He's a big name actor. He's good. Yeah, I don't really know if there's that much more to unpack. Like,
no, I feel like there were less questions after this week than when like Pietro showed up.
For sure.
Like when Quicksilver was at that front door, everyone was like, "What the hell?" And there's so much to talk about. But now, in this episode, either your questions have been answered or they've been completely debunked.
Altered. Yeah.
Or they shifted focus. So I feel like there's still a lot of reactionary things to say about, but in terms of like theorizing all these things, some of it you can't theorize about anymore.
There's that one line when Vision was talking to Agnes as well, and Agnes said that Wanda won't even let us think about leaving. Like she like we heard Vision awaken Norm, and in episode 5, and Norm was saying like she's in my head, but he never said who that was. But Agnes told Vision that it was Wanda specifically. Wanda won't let us think about leaving. Is that a trick? Is that the truth?
But again, that coming from Agnes is really
human. Agnes too.
It makes you think. Yeah, it makes you think regardless. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we don't know. I still think there's someone bigger, and Agnes is just working with this person. And do you think the villain is Tyler Hayward? Like he could be just the villain behind all this. Maybe he's wearing a mask.
I don't think so. Unless he's another form. I don't think Hayward himself in the flesh is the villain. He's definitely one of the villains, one of the bad guys.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's it'd be pretty underwhelming if he was the guy, in my personal opinion. Unless they did something cool with it, but I'll put my trust in Marvel.
Yeah. that Hydra thing is interesting too. Like how like his last name, if you rearrange some of the letters, it spells Hydra and the heck. So yeah, there's something with Tyler. There's something with Agnes. Wanda seems to be more and more in control of this.
Yeah,
but I still
Pietro's a
think
big
there's
question
like
mark.
Pietro is. I think Pietro is the biggest question mark right now. Like
no one knows what his deal is. Like I thought everyone thought he was bad news, and people thought he was good news. Now everyone's arguing. So
no, he's definitely bad news. He has to be.
I don't think
bad news.
I don't think he'd be in there if he was good news. Unless
exactly.
Yeah.
If Agnes put him in there, then it's bad news for sure.
Yeah.
Or if Tyler Hayward put him in there, it's got to be bad news. And like we don't know. Like even Sword, like all of Sword might be bad news, except for Monica and Jimmy and Darcy. Like what if we see a situation like we saw in Captain America: Winter Soldier, where Sword is now mostly Hydra, and they've been like just hiding there for a long time, like Hydra was with Shield, and like half of Sword is Hydra, something like that, and Tyler Hayward is their leader. We've seen like the Hydra soak, like you said in the commercial, and the Hydra watch as well. Hydra has something to do with this.
Yeah, Hydra's in this.
Sure. Yeah. And yeah, Captain America's not going to be too happy about that.
But he's too old to do anything about it either. So
yeah, exactly. Is there any chance Red Skull could be involved in this?
Ooh,
because he's still alive.
Yeah, I know he was the protector of the Soul Stone. So if the Infinity Stones are in it, if that commercial theory has a bit of weight behind it, and you see it start developing, maybe because he was the keeper, the guarder of the Soul Stone. So if the Soul Stone's involved at all, I feel like he would be involved. So on that front, yes, but in the very good possibility that they don't go with the Infinity Stones, like you said, that you think Marvel might be done with it, then I don't think he's in it. I think it's one or the other. Well, obviously it's one or the other, but
I think he is going to show up in some sort of Marvel installment because he has.
I mean, Vision hasn't worked with him before, Paul Bettany. So
I
don't think he wouldn't have been in any of the same scenes in Infinity War.
No, definitely not.
Because that was a Hawkeye and Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson thing.
Yeah, Black Widow kind of thing.
I wonder if Hawkeye ever got the chance to talk to Captain America about that before Captain America went back in time. Like, hey, we saw this. There was this red guy on War.
Yeah. Like, hey, I know that dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and we might get a chance to see that. I think Chris Evans is rumored to maybe be in like another. I guess it would be a Captain America movie, just like him returning the stones and then his life back with Peggy Carter. I think that's kind of rumored. So yeah, we might see that. And yeah, I guess before leaving, thoughts on the Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer.
I'm excited. Again, it's more of a Marvel movie in the form of a TV show, which is I hope the episodes are longer than 30 minutes.
I think they will be.
Yeah,
it's only 6 of them.
Okay, so hopefully they're longer than 30 minutes, with 7 minutes being credits. Oh my god! Yeah,
what the heck?
I know what's up with that. Why? Yeah, it doesn't. Anyway,
no end credit scene.
Yeah. Anyways, I think they're gonna have to be careful because you see the big action scenes and stuff like that. You're like, wow, this is like a high budget movie. But if those big like AAA like Hollywood blockbuster movie scenes are, like 7 minutes in a 30-minute episode, it's kind of like, all right, like what are we, like, it didn't have like the payoff it needed. So that's why I'm hoping it's like 45-minute episodes, like, or like 55. Because like I don't think they'll cross an hour, but like if you get close to an hour, you have time to build up those insane sequences when things are blowing up. Because I feel like if you just have like a little talk and then there's this big explosion, then all right, tune in next week. That's done. 30 minutes. Like it won't sit right. But I think Marvel knows what they're doing. It's a pretty well-oiled machine. Like what do I know that they don't? So like what does Zach Finch really know more than Marvel? Like I think they know how to put on a show. I think they'll do okay as well. Like I'm excited. The Super Bowl commercial got me like absolutely pumped. Yeah.
They've Marvel just always nails it. Like we don't know what's coming, but they nail it. And Yeah, that Falcon and Winter Soldier will be good. I think Anthony Mackie said that it's like a 6-hour long movie. So it's going to be around 6 hours. It maybe some are like 50 minutes. Some maybe the finale is like an hour, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be crazy. I'm excited to see Baron Zemo, how he escaped.
He's got his mask now too, which is cool
from the comics.
From the comics. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, so we're gonna see what exactly his plan is.
Well, yeah, because his whole plan was putting Iron Man and Captain America against each other, and one's dead and one is 85 years old. So I don't know what his plan there is.
Yeah, or dead. We don't know what happened with Captain America.
Cap could have aged out.
Yeah, or maybe. Yeah, we don't know. There's question marks with that. Like, did he go back to the past?
Well, because he went back to the past and he just like aged up with the years. So like when he was old in Endgame, like as long as he didn't die in the 4 weeks between Endgame and WandaVision, he's out there. So
unless he went back to that other timeline and just lived out his life in the other one again, but maybe we get a Chris Evans cameo or we get a Chris Evans funeral, which would suck,
either suck.
Yeah, either would suck. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, Zach, it's been a great show. It's been great. I don't want to forget anything. Is there anything else you gotta get off your chest about WandaVision, the theory?
No, like I mean, my biggest things were like setting up the X-Men once the town expanded, the commercials, the kids and Agnes.
Yeah.
Again, there's little theories that'll just pop up whenever, and then they'll fade away, and then you'll just think of something, then all of a sudden it all makes sense, then it doesn't. But that's the thing, you'll think of a theory in your sleep, then you'll forget it 3 hours later, then you'll think of a new one, and it doesn't matter anymore. So that's why this show's really fun. It keeps you on your toes.
Yep. Yeah, and three more episodes left. Episode 7 next week. Maybe we find out a bit more about who's behind all of this. Probably not. We'll probably see more of that like talking head kind of stuff next week, and then we might see a bit more of Vision in action. Who knows what we're gonna see? There's a lot of surprises with this one. It's cool every Friday to wake up and have something to watch. So Zach, thanks very much for coming on, man.
Yeah, man, I love talking about Marvel things. So thank you for having me on. It's a bit of a change up from the sports stuff. It's nice. It's nice.
It's peaceful.
Yeah, it is.
That's really about it. I'll have to get you on again in the future as well. Maybe talk some sports. Zach and I, we're doing the big league together. This upcoming semester.
New recruit.
He's gonna join Connor and I on our live shows. So we're looking forward to that. I forget the show time. I think it's like, is it Wednesdays? 5:00 or something like that. I forget it off the top of my head, but I think
it's Wednesdays at 5. It's an hour before my editing class. That's how I know that.
Perfect. Okay, great timing then, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess 6:10 is when your editing class will start.
Yeah. So we got some time. We're booling.
All right. Awesome. So yeah, make sure you guys tune in to that every week. Follow out Unlimited Pod on Instagram. Make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, follow Zach on Instagram. I'll put his Instagram in the description. And yeah, we'll be back next week. I'll probably do another WandaVision episode 7 reaction. And yeah, we'll see you guys then. Take care and peace.